Welcome dear students to our YouTube channel of Arihant Academy. Today we are going to solve NEET 22 Botany paper. The paper code is T6. So dear students, let us start without any delay. The first question 101. Which of the following is not a method of ex situ conservation? It's not a method of ex situ conservation. So, what is ex situ conservation? Ex situ conservation is the conservation that is done outside the natural habitat of that particular organism. So, if you look over here, then micropropagation, cryopreservation, and in vitro fertilization. These are all method of ex situ preservation. But the national parks are those places where we conserve the particular species in its original habitat, in its natural place. So it is a method of in situ preservation, okay, and it is not a method of ex situ preservation. So the answer will be 1, national parks. The second question 102. Given below are two statements. Statement 1 is the primary carbon dioxide acceptor in C4 plants is phosphoenol pyruvic acid, that is phosphoenol pyruvate, and is found in the mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells of C4 plants lack Rubisco enzyme. In the light of the above statement, choose the answer from the given options below. So the primary carbon dioxide acceptor in C4 plants, okay, the ones which show HSK pathway, is phosphoenol pyruvate. Yes, it is phosphoenol pyruvic acid, which combines with CO2, results in the formation of oxaloacetic acid. And this set of reactions first occurs in the MSC, that is the mesophyll cells. So statement 1 is correct. Mesophyll cells of C4 plants lack Rubisco. Okay, if you remember kids, Rubisco is an enzyme that will kisco towards the oxygenase activity. It will bind with oxygen. So it shows which activity? Oxygenase activity. And if it shows oxygenase activity, it will show a process which is called as photorespiration, which is a wasteful process. And C4 plants do not show photorespiration. They avoid photorespiration. So one of the means of avoiding photorespiration is that the first carbon dioxide acceptor is going to be Pepisco enzyme. So they will not show the presence of Rubisco in the mesophyll cells. They will show the presence of pepcase, that is the phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. So both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct in this particular question. That the primary carbon dioxide acceptor is found in the mesophyll cells, and that one is pepcase, and they lack Rubisco. So 102 will go with the answer 4. The next question is exotype of sex determination can be found in. Exotype of sex determination can be found in birds, grasshoppers, monkeys, and Drosophila. It's a line from the NCERT text exactly, and the answer will be for 103. It will be grasshopper. 104. In old trees, the greater part of secondary xylem is dark brown and resistant to insects attack due to. So when they say that the older trees, the greater part of the secondary xylem is dark brown, so what are they talking about? Think about that first. They are talking about the heartwood and not the sapwood. So of all these options A, B, C, D and E, okay, the fourth option, that is A and B only, are going to be correct for heartwood. That is secretion of secondary metabolites and their deposition in the lumen of the vessels, and deposition of organic compounds like tannin and resins in the central layers of the stem that results in the formation of heartwood, right? So for 104, the option A and B only are the correct answer, is the correct answer, because option C, D and E, like if you see the option C, deposition of suberin and aromatic substance in the outer layer of the stem. Outer layer of the stem would mean the peripheral layers that will include the sapwood. Deposition of tannin, gums, same. Okay, that will include the sapwood. Presence of parenchyma cell, functionally active xylem elements, and essential oils. Here they are mentioned functionally active xylem elements, whereas in heartwood the xylem elements become inactive because of depositions of tannin gums and resins in the central layers of the cell. 105. Which of the following is not observed during apoplastic pathway? So if you look at the option number 2, the movement is aided by cytoplasmic streaming. Now cytoplasmic streaming, which is also known as cyclosis, it occurs inside the cytoplasm, which is aided by certain proteins like actin and ATP, where the molecules are transported within the cell, and it is a characteristic feature of simplast pathway, okay, and not the apoplastic pathway, because apoplastic pathway is a non-living pathway. It is along the cell wall and the intercellular spaces. It does not include the cytoplasm, whereas the movement is aided by cytoplasmic streaming will include the cytoplasm, and that is true for symplastic pathway, not for apoplastic pathway. The movement does not, the first option, that is the movement does not involve crossing of cell membrane. That is correct. Apoplasm is continuous and does not provide any barrier to water movement. Movement of water molecules occurs through intercellular spaces and the walls of the cells. So the right answer would be 2. 106. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. Assertion: A. Polymerase chain reaction is used in DNA amplification. That is true, that polymerase PCR technique is defined as amplification of DNA in vitro, where we multiply the number of DNA molecules. The reason, the ampicillin resistant gene is used as a selectable marker to check the transformation. Now this is also a true statement, that the ampicillin resistant gene is used as you can use any of the antibiotic resistant gene. Either it can be a tetracycline resistant gene, or it can be an ampicillin resistant gene, which can be used as a selectable marker to check transformation. What you need to do is you need to insert your gene of interest within this particular region of the ampicillin or tetracycline resistant gene. So assertion is also true, the reason is also true, but the reason is not the correct explanation for assertion. I would go for polymerase chain reaction is used in DNA amplification. Okay, why is it used in DNA amplification? Because it is a method which can produce millions of copies of DNA within a short period of time. It's an in vitro method of DNA replication. So even though the reason is correct, but it is not the right explanation for the assertion. So for 106, the correct answer will be 1. That is, both assertion and reason are correct, but the reason is not the correct explanation for assertion. 107. Which of the following statement is not true regarding gel electrophoresis technique? The separated DNA fragments are stained by using ethidium bromide. Yes. The presence of chromogenic substrates gives blue colored DNA bands on the gel. Bright orange colored bands of DNA can be observed. Yes, that is also correct. So the wrong answer would be 2 over here for 107. The 108 question, which is from the chapter Plant Growth and Development. So the gaseous plant growth regulator is used in plants too. Now who is the gaseous plant growth regulator over here? The gaseous plant growth regulator is ethylene. And ethylene is known to promote root growth and root hair formation to increase the absorption surface. Whereas to help overcome apical dominance, okay, will be the feature of cytokinins. To kill dicotyledonous weeds in the fields will be a function of auxins, and speed up the malting process will be the function of gibberellins. Okay, so the right answer will be 1. from plant growth and development. What amount of energy is released from glucose during lactic acid fermentation? 109. Okay. So for 109, when they talk about, now this is from the chapter cellular respiration, that is respiration, it includes the exact name would be respiration in plants. Okay. And what amount of energy is released from glucose during lactic acid fermentation? Now this is anaerobic respiration. Okay. And lactic acid fermentation will produce 2 molecules of ATP, and 1 molecule of glucose has the ability to give 686 kilocalories, and you are able to produce only 2 molecules of ATP, that is around 14 kilocalories. So the amount of energy that you are going to get from lactic acid fermentation is going to be less than 7%. So for 109, the answer will be 3. 110, now this chapter is from Anatomy of Flowering Plants. Read the following statements about the vascular bundles. In roots, xylem and phloem in a vascular bundle are arranged in an alternate manner along the different radii. Okay. Now this is true for both a monocot as well as a dicot root, where they are arranged in an alternate manner along the different radii. So you know they are radial vascular bundles. The only difference is that in a dicot, it can be diarch to hexarch, whereas in a monocot, it is going to be a polyarch condition. Conjoined, second option, B. Conjoined closed vascular bundles do not possess cambium. It's a closed vascular bundle that will not show secondary growth, so definitely cambium is going to be absent. In open vascular bundles, cambium is present in between xylem and phloem. Yes, that will help in secondary growth. The vascular bundles of dicot stem possesses endarch protoxylem. That is also true. In monocot root, usually there are more than 6 xylem bundles present. Yes, because it has a polyarch condition. So this is a very ambiguous question. Okay, so we are going to consider this to be an ambiguous question 110, where all the options given are correct. 111, identify the correct set of statements, where we have the leaflets are modified into pointed hard thorns in citrus and bougainvillea. Now all these questions come under morphology of flowering plants. So when we say the leaflets are modified into pointed hard thorns, no, it's not the leaflet, it is a stem modification. Okay, leaflet modification we see in Bignonia anguscatae. Okay, and here, so I would say that A is wrong. B, yes, that's a true statement. Yes, C also. D also. Now when you look at E, subaerially growing stem in grasses and strawberry help in vegetative propagation. Here in the NCERT text, they have mentioned it as underground, but if you go through their QR scanner code and their practical material, then even E is going to be a correct statement. So subaerially growing stem in grasses and strawberry help in vegetative propagation. So for 111, we'll go with the answer 2, that is B, C, D and E only. Now, which of the following plants does not show plasticity? Okay, now this is a question from plant growth and development, where you know coriander, buttercup and cotton, they all show plasticity. Okay, that is the ability of the plant part to undergo changes either with respect to the environment or due to the internal factors, and maize is not one of the examples. So for 112, the answer will be 3. 113, Cleistogamous flowers are invariably autogamous. Now this is from reproduction in flowering plants. Cleistogamous flowers are invariably autogamous. We know what are cleistogamous flowers. They are those flowers which always remain closed, they don't open. So invariably, definitely they are going to show what? They are going to show autogamy, they are going to show self-pollination. Cleistogamous disadvantage is there is no chance for cross-pollination. The plant desires cross-pollination so that it can bring about variations. So with cleistogamy, yes, it will assure that the perpetuation of species will continue. Okay, but cleistogamous is disadvantageous in the sense that it will not bring about new variations. Okay, so that is why even statement 2, that cleistogamy is disadvantageous as there is no chance for cross pollination, is also a correct statement. Cleistogamy in this case becomes disadvantageous because it will not bring about any variations. There will only be selfing. Okay, so I'll go with the answer for 113 as 4. Now 114, it's from the chapter Mineral Nutrition. The Girdling Experiment. Okay, sorry, it will be in transport in plants. Girdling experiment was performed by plant physiologists to identify the plant tissue through which. So if you look at the chapter, the last page of that particular chapter, they have mentioned it for food is being transported. So what is done in Girdling experiment is you remove all the tissues around the xylem, and only xylem is used as a connection between the upper stem and the lower roots. And if you leave a girdle plant like this, we come to know that the food gets accumulated in the phloem, in the part that is above the girdle part. So from this we come to know that phloem is a tissue through which the food is getting transported. And this experiment was performed by the physiologist to identify that it is the phloem through which the food is transported. Okay, so we'll go with the answer 114 as 1. Hydrocolloid carrageenan is obtained from, now its exact NCERT line, from kingdom Plantae, and the answer is going to be Rhodophyceae. 116, given below are two statements. Statement 1, Mendel studied 7 pairs of contrasting traits in pea plants and proposed the laws of inheritance. Yes, correct. And 7 characters that were examined by Mendel. So if you look at the NCERT text, this is from the chapter Inheritance and Variations. So you have pea plant seed shape, color, flower color, pod shape, color, flower position. All these were the characters that were studied by Mendel. So we'll go with the answer 4. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct. 117. Now once again, the question is from plant growth, chapter plant growth and development. Production of cucumber has increased manifold, that is, yield has increased by multiple times in recent years. Application of which of the following phytohormones has resulted in this increased yield, as the hormone is known to produce female flowers in the plants. Okay, exact line from the NCERT we have over there, and the answer is ethylene. The process of translation of mRNA to proteins begins as soon as, so this is from molecular basis of inheritance, the larger so when does the process of translation begins? When the smaller subunit of the RNA binds to smaller subunit of the RNA, it binds to the messenger RNA. Okay, that's the first step. Then there is the entry of the tRNA containing methionine or F-methionine. Then there is a formation of a larger subunit. So the first step would be when the small subunit of ribosome encounters the mRNA. So 118, it will be 4. 119, it is from the ecology section, the last 4 chapters. Habitat, now this is from your topic biodiversity and conservation, right? Habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, alien species invasion, co-extinction. It has been mentioned as the evil quartet. Okay, and this evil quartet is responsible for biodiversity loss. So the answer will be 2. Read the following statements and choose the set of correct statements. 120. Euchromatin is loosely packed chromatin, correct. Heterochromatin is transcriptionally active, no, it is inactive. Histone octamer is wrapped by a negatively charged DNA molecule in the nucleus, correct. Histones are rich in lysine and arginine, NCERT line. A typical nucleosome, no, it is in the range of 200. So this is also wrong. So the right answer will be 1. Which of the following is incorrectly matched? 121. So we have this question from the chapter Kingdom Plantae. Eulothrix, mannitol, porphyra, Floridian starch, volvox starch, ectocarpus, fucoxanthine. So if you match them with their respective groups like Eulothrix, which will belong to green algae, they don't store it in the form of mannitol, it will be in the form of starch. So 121, it is incorrectly matched. So the answer will be 1. 122, the device which can remove particulate matter present in the exhaust from a thermal power plant. Okay, once again, ecology section. The last chapter in that, it's a statement given in the NCERT textbook, where if you remember that the corona of electrons will be on the particulate matter, and then the plate will be positively charged. Okay, and that is coming under electrostatic precipitator. So 122, the answer will be 2. 123, DNA polymorphism, that is the variable number of tandem repeats. It forms the basis of both the genetic maps as well as DNA fingerprinting. Okay, so 123, the answer will be 2. 124, which of the following statements cannot be connected to predation? It might lead to extinction of a species. Both the interacting species are negatively impacted. It is definitely a wrong statement. The one who is a predator is positively impacted, whereas the prey is negatively impacted. So it is positive and negative, not both negative. So this is a wrong statement. Which of the following never occurs during mitotic divisions? Mitotic division is an equational division. There is no crossing over. Okay, these are all properties. Crossing over, pairing of homologous chromosome. These are all properties of meiosis. So movement of centrioles during opposite poles, yes, that occurs. The centrioles divide and move towards the opposite pole. Pairing of homologous chromosome. Now, this pairing of homologous chromosomes occurs during the meiotic cell division, not mitosis. So 125, we'll go with the answer 2. 126, exoskeletons of arthropods is composed of. It's a direct answer. We know it is composed of chitin, and chitin is made up of NAM and NAG, N-acetyl glucosamine, N-acetyl muramic acid. What is the 127th question? What is the net gain of ATP when each molecule of glucose is converted to 2 molecules of pyruvic acid? Okay, so they are talking about glycolysis, right? Where 1 molecule of glucose gets converted into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. Respiration in plants, and here you get 2 molecules of NADH twice. You get 4 molecules of ATP, out of which 2 are used. So you are left with how many molecules? 2 ATP molecules. And this 2 ATP molecules, I will call it as the direct ATP synthesis. So irrespective whether glycolysis will be followed by ETS or it will not be followed by ETS, you'll always get these 2 molecules of ATP. Okay, these 2 molecules of NADH twice, only during anaerobic respiration, it will go into the electron transport chain, and then it will give you 6 molecules of ATP. So this will be basically, we can say it is indirect ATP synthesis that will involve the electron transport chain. Okay. So when we are talking about what is the net gain of ATP when each molecule of glucose is converted to two molecules of pyruvic acid, we are talking about direct ATP synthesis irrespective of the ETS taking place or not taking place. So you have to consider sometimes there can only be anaerobic respiration, there cannot be ETC. So the answer is always going to be two molecules of ATP. So 127 will be 2. Which one of the following plants shows vexillary estivation in a diadelphous stamen? Morphology of flowering plants will have Pisum sativum, okay, Fabaceae. 129. Identify the incorrect statement regarding pollination. This will be reproduction in flowering plants. If you look at option 1, 2 and 4, they are all correct. It should be honeybees, which are the most dominating pollinating agents among insects, and they have mentioned moths and butterflies. Okay, so that happens to be the incorrect statement. So we are supposed to identify the incorrect one. So the answer will be 3 for 129. 130th question. Decomposition is a process in which the detritus is degraded into simpler substances by microbes. Very true. This is once again from ecology section, ecosystem part. Statement 2, decomposition is faster if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin. No, the process of decomposition will become slower if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin. It will become slower because it will take longer time to break down this complex polysaccharides. So I'll go with the answer for 130. It will be 2, that is statement 1 is correct, but the statement 2 is incorrect. So many of these questions, dear students, are directly from the NCERT text. The only difference is this time they are not direct answers. It will take time for you to solve this paper. So it was not like the last 2 years where there were direct lines of NCERT and the student could solve the biology paper very fast, the botany section. But here you require a little bit of analysis. It will take some time. So these are some of the challenges that will be faced by the students in this year's paper. But overall it is sticking to the NCERT text. 131. The appearance of recombination nodules, now this is from the chapter cell division, on homologous chromosomes during meiosis characterizes the sites at which the crossing over will take place. So for 131, we'll go with the answer 2. There are those places where there will be crossing over, exact line from the NCERT text. 132, mineral nutrition. It was asked previously also. Which one of the following produces nitrogen fixing nodule on the roots of ulnus? And it is going to be Frankia. Direct answer for 132. Okay. 133. Which one of the following is not true regarding the release of ATP during ATP synthesis through chemiosmosis? Michel's chemiosmotic hypothesis that you study in the chapter photosynthesis. Breakdown of electron gradient? Nah, it is the breakdown of the proton gradient. So it is not true. So the answer will be 1. So what 133, the answer will be 1. The flowers are zygomorphic, right? You have two types of flowers, zygomorphic and actinomorphic flowers. Morphology of flowering plants. So here for 134, it's a direct factual question. It will be Gulmohar and Cassia. So the answer will be 1 for 134. 135. It's matching list 1 and 2 from mineral nutrition. So for 135, manganese, yes, it helps in splitting of water during photosynthesis. The hypothetical protein, manganoprotein there, it helps in splitting of water during photolysis of water. Non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Magnesium, okay, it activates many enzymes of respiration. Usually the kinases group of enzymes, they'll use Mg2 plus as a cofactor. Boron is required for pollen germination. Iron activates enzyme catalysis. For 135, we'll go with the answer 1. 136, once again transport in plants. Addition of more solutes in a given solution will. So if you add solutes to a given solution, it will lower its water potential. It will make it more negative. Okay, so for 136, the correct answer will be 1. Water potential will be 0 when it's pure water. Okay, and it is going to affect the water potential by lowering it. 137. Read the following statements on lipids and find out the correct set of statements. Okay, so for 137, the correct answer would be C, D, and E. Okay, the gingerly oil, the sesame oil, has a lower melting point. Lipids are insoluble, correct. So it will be C, D, and E. For 137, biomolecules. So 137, the answer would be 2. Okay, the lecithin given is wrong. What is the role of large bundle sheath cells found around the vascular bundles in C4 plants? Okay, so according to the NCERT text, the C4 plants, they avoid photorespiration. Okay, and this is done by a number of means, and it helps the plants to tolerate high temperature, because at high temperatures the C3 plants are prone to show the oxygenase activity of rubisco, but C4 plants avoid that. Okay, and they are able to tolerate high temperatures. So this is once again line from the NCERT text. We will go with 138 2. 139. The entire fleet of buses in Delhi were converted to CNG from diesel. In reference to this, which one of the following statements is false? The same diesel engine is used in CNG buses, making the cost conversion low. The cost conversion is not low, the cost conversion would be high. You need new pipelines to be laid. Directly the same engines cannot be used. Rest 2, 3 and 4 are true for CNG. So the answer to 139 will be 1. Okay, this will be from ecology section, the last chapter in that. Transposones, 140. Transposones can be used during which one of the following? Okay, 140. The answer will be 1. It's a direct line from the NCERT text. Transposones are mobile genetic elements. So when they will insert themselves in a particular gene sequence, that gene sequence will not be able to express itself, thus silencing that particular gene. 141. So this is from cell, the unit of life, from the chapter cell structure. You will see this. The last part where the nucleus, they have talked about the different type of chromosomes. It's a direct factual question where the answer will be 4. Metacentric, that the centromere is in the middle. So 141, the answer will be 4. 142. Match the plants with the kind of life cycle it exhibits. 142. So Spirogyra, which is an algae, it will show a dominant haploid free living gametophyte. So it will be Eka2. B. Fern. Fern is a pteridophyte. So it will have a dominant diploid sporophyte alternating with a reduced gametophyte called prothallus. It is comparatively reduced. 3. Funaria. Okay, the bryophyte. It has a dominant haploid leafy gametophyte where the sporophyte is partially dependent. So C is 4 and D is 1. So the answer will be 1. 143. Which one of the following occurs with the presence of an autosomal linked dominant trait? It's a direct answer. Autosomal linked dominant trait and autosomal linked. It's going to be myotonic dystrophy. 144. Anatomy of flowering plants. The anatomy of springwood shows some peculiar features. Identify the correct set of statements about springwood. It is also called as early wood. Yes, correct. In spring season, cambium produces xylem elements with narrow vessels. No, spring season is active season, so it does not need narrow vessels. It needs those broader ones. It's a wrong statement. Lighter in color. Yes. Annual ring. Yes. Yes. So the answer for 144 will be 1. 145. Which part of the fruit labeled in the given figure makes it a false fruit? If a part other than the ovary is involving in formation of the fruit, it becomes a false fruit. And in this case, it is going to be the thalamus, which becomes fleshy in the case of pome fruits like apple. Okay, which makes it a false fruit because the thalamus has become fleshy and it has become a part of the fruit. So C is thalamus. So the answer over here would be 2. That the C is thalamus. That makes it a false fruit. 146. It's once again a direct question from the genetics unit. Which of the following palindrome base sequence of DNA which can be cut easily by a particular restriction enzyme? EcoR1, the site given is for EcoR1. It's a palindrome GAA-TTC, GAA-TTC 3-5-3-. Okay. So for 146, the answer would be 1. (147). While explaining interspecific interaction of population, positive sign is assigned for beneficial interactions, negative sign is for detrimental, and 0 is for the neutral interaction. Okay. Which of the following interaction can be assigned positive for one and negative for other species? In amensalism, one of them is 0, the other is negative. In commensalism, one of them 0, other is positive. In competition, both of them get negative. In predation, one of them is positive, the other is negative. So the answer will be 4. Which of the following will greatly accelerate the phosphorus cycle? So phosphorus is present in the rocks. Okay. So the weathering of the rocks is going to accelerate the phosphorus cycle. 149. Assertion and reason. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion, the other is labeled as reason. Mendel's laws of independent assortment does not hold good for the genes that are located closely on the same chromosome. Closely located genes assort independently. So for 149 from inheritance and variation, the assertion is correct, but the reason is not correct. Closely located genes tend to get inherited as a single unit showing linkage. So the answer will be 1. 140, sorry. The correct answer here for 149 would be 2. That is, the assertion is correct, but the reason is not correct. 150. If a geneticist uses the blind approach for sequencing the whole genome of an organism, followed by assignment of function to different segments, the methodology adapted by him. So there are two methods of gene sequencing, right? One is the express sequence tags, ESTs, that what is the NCERT calls it, and the ESTs is where we know the gene sequence is going to code for a particular protein and we are going to sequence them only. And this blind approach that is taken is called a sequence annotation. So overall, the NEET 2022 paper is sticking to the NCERT text, but it is making the students think. It is not like the last 2 years. So the students might find it a little bit lengthy, but it is sticking to the NCERT text overall. So with this, we'll stop our session. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, dear students.